Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Ibis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? This chest was filled with old concert t-shirts. And something useful. This burning sword from the south was terrific for barbecuing sausages and ravens. The air here tasted bitter. The steps were too tall for a person. The entire place felt restless, like it had been vexed to nightmare under the dust, waiting for its hour to come around at last. The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. He was more and more extraordinary. Can I borrow that? He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak.
He felt like Tarzan.
Ooh, what's there? Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention.
I'm sorry. Was that your shield?
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Renato wondered if it wasn't cheaper to build bridges and stairs. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone, eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Renato wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "Not the core," said the stone anxiously. The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance. The stone felt a bit clingy. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Sky Ripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power. He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fu school together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
Why would anyone put his slinky collection in a strongbox, thought Renato. Any magic slinkies? Oh, and there was something else.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
You'd think at this rate, the Imperial Army would run out of ravens.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?" "No, don't be ridiculous," it chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
Renato felt new powers ready to blossom within him, or something.
As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical.
No, it's too much power. We'll rip a hole in space and time.
He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out.
When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Ibis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light.
And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said.
He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he?
As the Farfarer made its way toward the Nexus, Renato could see tiny sparks in the blackness that was the Ibis stone, as if somewhere within it, the core was still spitting out energy, which the Ibis stone sucked in hungrily.
You'd think the stone would want this kind of power, wouldn't it? Thought Renato. Well, the scientists would explain it all. See? He'd trusted his gut, and it had worked out. That's what it meant to be a hero. To ignore the naysayers and the odd-makers, and do what you knew was right, and have it turn out to be the right thing. Well, he wasn't worried. Once he got to the observatory, the scientist toads could explain it. Then he could carry the war into the enemy's camp and destroy them all. Oh dear, he was getting a little bloodthirsty, wasn't he?